The sun was setting in Enugu city. The sky was orange and gold. Chuka sat behind the wheel of his car, angry and hurt. His father, Chief Ago, had shouted at him again. "You will marry Ngozi, whether you like it or not." Chief Ago had roared earlier. "I will not marry a woman I do not love," Chuka had said before storming out of the house. Now, Chuka was driving fast down a lonely road, far away from home. His car was old. It had not been used in months. Suddenly, the engine made a loud sound and it stopped. Chuka tried to start it again. Nothing. He got out and looked around. All he saw was trees. Dust. Silence. Then, in the distance, he saw a small footpath. He followed it, not knowing where it would lead. After a few minutes, he saw a little house made of mud bricks with a tin roof. Flowers grew near the door. They were bright red. A young woman was outside, sweeping the ground with a broom made from palm branches. She was wearing a simple wrapper and a blouse. Her skin was dark and glowing. Her eyes were soft and kind. "Good evening," Chuka said, trying to catch his breath. The girl looked up and smiled. "Good evening, sir. You look tired." "My car broke down. I've been walking. Please, do you have water?" She nodded quickly. "Come inside, please." She brought a small clay pot with water. It was cold and sweet. Chuka drank it fast. Then he sat down under a mango tree in front of the house. "Thank you," he said. "My name is Nneka," she said gently. "I'm Ikena," Chuka lied. He didn't want her to know he was the son of a rich man. "Ikena. You are welcome to a mafia village," she said with a smile. A soft voice came from inside the house. "Nneka, who is outside?" "That's my grandmother," Nneka whispered. "She is blind. I take care of her." Nneka helped Chuka wash his face and gave him food, simple yam and red oil. It was the best meal he had eaten in days. As they talked, Chuka noticed something. Nneka wore a silver bracelet on her wrist. It was old but shiny. He stared at it. That bracelet looked familiar. He had seen something like it before long ago. He couldn't remember where, but it made his heart beat faster. "Where did you get that bracelet?" he asked. Nneka looked at it and smiled. "It was my mother's. She said it was a gift from someone very special. She gave it to me before she died." Chuka wanted to ask more, but Mama Ozo called again. Night was falling. "You can sleep here," Nneka said. "It's not safe to go back now." Chuka nodded. He looked around. The house was small but clean. There was peace here, peace he had not felt in years. That night, as he lay on the mat Nneka gave him, he stared at the roof and thought, "Who is this girl? Why does her bracelet feel like it belongs to my past?" Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. "What would you do if a stranger helped you without asking who you are? Is love hiding in places we don't expect?" The next morning, birds were singing outside. The air in Mafia village smelled fresh, like rain and earth. Chuka woke up slowly. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he heard Nneka's voice. "Ikena," she called softly from outside, "there is hot water for your bath." Chuka smiled. No one had called him by that name before. It felt strange, but nice. He came out and saw Nneka pouring water into a big bowl near a banana tree. She looked happy. Her eyes were bright, even though her clothes were old. "Thank you," Chuka said. After he cleaned up, Nneka served him food again, this time, akara and pap. As they ate, Mama Ozo came out slowly, holding a walking stick. Her eyes were cloudy. She smiled kindly. "So, you are the traveler who slept in my house," she said. "Yes, Ma," Chuka replied with a bow. "Do not call me Ma." I am Mama Uzo. If my granddaughter says you are welcome, then you are family. Chuka felt a warmth in his chest. Chuka stayed longer than he planned. He said his car was still being fixed. But in truth, he did not want to leave. Every day, he followed Nneka to the stream. He helped her sweep the compound. They talked about the stars, about kindness, and about dreams. One night, they sat outside and watched fireflies. What do you dream of, Nneka? Chuka asked. She smiled. I want to help blind people like my grandmother. I want to build a small place where they can learn to cook, sew, and read Braille. Chuka was quiet. He had never met anyone like her. She didn't care about money or cars. Her heart was full of love. But deep inside, Chuka knew he was hiding something big. His real name. His rich father. The fact that Ngozi, his father's chosen fiancé, was still looking for him. Meanwhile, in Enugu City, Chief Ago was angry. How can my own son disappear, he shouted. Ngozi, dressed in expensive lace and red lipstick, smiled coldly. Don't worry, Chief. I'll find him. Ngozi had a secret. She wasn't in love with Chuka. She only wanted his wealth. And she had a plan to make sure Chuka came back home, with or without love. That night, as Chuka helped Nneka wash dishes under the moonlight, he felt peace. He wanted to tell her everything. Nneka, he said slowly, there's something I haven't told you. But Nneka touched his arm. You don't have to explain now. Sometimes the heart speaks before the mouth does. Chuka looked into her eyes. And at that moment, he thought. I wish I wasn't Chuka, son of a rich man. I wish I was truly Ikena, a simple man who found love in a village. But truth cannot hide forever. Have you ever felt like running from your world just to find peace? Is it right to hide your truth if it brings someone joy? It was a quiet morning in Umafia. The sky was cloudy, and the wind blew gently through the banana leaves. Chuka was sitting beside Mama Uzo's chair, peeling oranges. Nneka was washing clothes by the side of the house. Birds sang, and everything felt peaceful. But Chuka's heart was full of worry. He had grown close to Nneka. Too close. She smiled at him like he was part of her world. But she didn't know the truth. That he was not poor. That he was the son of a man who ruled business like a lion. That he had a woman waiting for him in the city. Later that day, as Mama Uzo lay resting, Chuka walked with Nneka down a dusty path. Nneka, he began, what if someone wanted to take you and Mama Uzo to the city for treatment? Nneka stopped walking. To Enugu, she asked. That's far, and expensive. I know someone who can help, Chuka replied. A friend. A doctor. He can check Mama's eyes. Nneka looked down. No one has ever offered that before, she said softly. Why are you being so kind? Chuka wanted to say, because I love you. But instead, he said, because you and your grandmother helped a stranger without asking who he was. Nneka smiled. We believe every heart deserves a home. That night, Mama Uzo sat by the fire, holding her wooden walking stick. She turned her face towards Chuka. Young man, she said, the truth is like smoke. You can hide it under a basket, but it will rise. Chuka looked away. I know you carry a heavy name, Mama Uzo added. But be careful. If your truth hurts my granddaughter, even my blind eyes will see it. Chuka bowed his head. Yes, Mama. Back in Enugu, Ngozi arrived at a police station. She gave them Chuka's photo and some money. Find him, she said. I believe he's hiding in one of those bush villages. Chief Ago was not happy. My son is forgetting who he is, he said. Bring him home. I'll make sure he never leaves again. That night, it rained hard in Umafia. Thunder roared, and the roof shook a little. Chuka couldn't sleep. He stood outside, under the wooden awning, staring at the rain. Nneka came beside him, her wrapper tied tight around her shoulders. "Nneka," she said, "you're different today. I have something to tell you," he whispered. He turned to her, heart pounding. "My name is not Nneka. My real name is Chuka." Nneka blinked. "I am the son of Chief Ago. He owns hotels, lands, companies. I ran away from him. I didn't want the life he forced on me, or the woman he wanted me to marry." Silence. The rain fell harder. Nneka took a slow step back. "You lied to me." Chuka's voice broke. "I never meant to. I only wanted peace. You gave me that. I didn't want to lose it." Nneka turned away. Her voice was soft, but her words stung. "Then maybe peace was not what you were looking for. Maybe you were just hiding." She walked into the house and closed the door gently. Chuka stood in the rain, alone. And in the shadows of the night, the silver bracelet on Nneka's wrist glowed faintly under the lightning. What would you do if someone you trusted kept a secret that big? Can love survive truth that comes too late? Rain poured all night. Chuka couldn't sleep. His heart was heavy. Every drop of rain sounded like a voice asking, "Why did you lie?" By morning, the clouds cleared. But inside Nneka's home, there was still silence. Mama Ozo noticed it. "Nneka," she said as her granddaughter helped her sit up, "why is the wind quiet in your eyes?" Nneka just smiled and said nothing. Chuka sat outside, thinking of how to fix what he had broken. He looked at the muddy road and whispered, "I should have told her the truth from the start." Later that day, a black SUV rolled into the village. It had tinted windows. It stopped in front of Nneka's house. The door opened. Out stepped Chief Ago, tall and proud, dressed in a fine white agbada. Behind him came Ngozi, wearing shiny gold earrings and dark sunglasses. She looked around the small house like it was a trash bin. Chuka stood up quickly. "What are you doing here?" "We've come to take you home," Chief Ago said firmly. "I'm not going," Chuka replied. Ngozi stepped forward with a fake smile. "Darling, you've had your fun with village life. Come back to the real world." But before Chuka could answer, Chief Ago's eyes landed on Nneka, who had stepped out quietly to see what was happening. Then, his eyes dropped to her wrist. She was wearing the silver bracelet. His face froze. His mouth opened slightly. His hand trembled. "Where did you get that bracelet?" he asked, his voice suddenly soft. Nneka touched her wrist. "It was my mother's. She said someone gave it to her, a man she loved but never married. She died when I was small." Chief Ago's face went pale. He stumbled back. "That bracelet, it belonged to my late wife," he whispered. "But before I married her, I gave one just like it, to a housemaid He stopped talking. Everyone was staring at him. Chuka looked at his father. "What are you saying?" Chief Ago looked from Nneka to Chuka and back again. He shook his head slowly. It cannot be. That maid, she disappeared before the child was born. I never saw her again." Nneka's eyes widened. Her hands began to shake. "Are you saying, you might be my father?" Everyone stood in silence. Ngozi's face turned pale. "If Nneka is your daughter," Chuka said slowly, "then she's my sister." "No!" Chuka shouted. "It's not possible." Chief Ago sat down, breathing heavily. "We need a DNA test." That evening, Nneka stayed far from Chuka. Her heart was broken in ways she didn't understand. She stared at the bracelet on her wrist. The one her mother gave her. The one that may now be a curse. She sat under the mango tree and cried quietly. Chuka sat alone too, staring at the same tree, but from the other side. He didn't cry, but his heart was tearing apart. He whispered, "God, don't let this be true." And somewhere in the shadows, Ngozi was watching both of them. A small, evil smile crept across her face. Can the truth set you free, even when it threatens to destroy everything you love? What if the person you love most may be your family? The next morning, the sun rose like it didn't care about the tears from the night before. Chuka stood at the village clinic, looking through the dusty window. Inside, the nurse took blood samples from him, and from Nneka. Neither of them could look at each other. The nurse placed the samples in a small cooler. "We'll take them to the city. Results in 2 days," she said. Chuka nodded. Nneka just walked away. Meanwhile, back at Chief Ago's estate in the city, someone else was watching this drama unfold. Charles, the quiet driver and house worker. Charles was no ordinary man. He had worked for Chief Ago for over 15 years. He had seen secrets. He had buried them too. When the messenger arrived with the cooler of blood samples, Charles was the one who received it. Back in Omafia, the next day felt lighter. Chuka was washing clothes outside when Nneka came out holding a small basket of okra. She didn't smile, but she didn't walk away either. "I'm going to the stream," she said. "I'll carry the basket," Chuka replied. They walked in silence. The stream flowed gently. Birds flew above. Nneka sat on a rock and stared at the water. "I don't know what the results will say. But I know one thing." Chuka sat beside her, quiet. "In the days you were here, I forgot I was poor. I forgot I was alone." Chuka's voice cracked. "You made me remember who I am without money, without a big name. Just a man." Nneka looked at him. They didn't kiss. They just held hands. And it felt like something broken was slowly finding its way back. 2 days later, the report arrived. Chief Ago stood, trembling, as the envelope was opened. The paper inside read: DNA test result, no biological relationship between Mr. Chuka Ago and Miss Nneka Okoye. Chuka dropped to his knees in relief. Chief Ago sat back, wiped his face, and said, "Thank God." Nneka cried. Not out of sadness but from the strange joy that love had not died. Even Mama Ozo smiled and said, "The cloud is gone. Let the sun return." And the silver bracelet glowed faintly in the moonlight by Nneka's bedside. Is it wrong to hide a truth that could hurt someone you love? Can lies ever protect the heart? Or do they only delay the storm? Peace had returned to Omafia, at least on the outside. Nneka smiled more often. Chuka stayed in the village, helping with chores, laughing with children, and watching Nneka like a treasure he was afraid to lose. Mama Ozo's eye treatment had been scheduled in Enugu. She would soon travel for surgery. Everyone hoped she would see again. But not everyone was happy. In the city, Ngozi stood in front of a mirror, brushing her long black hair. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned like fire. "She chose me for power," she whispered. "And now he wants a village girl." She pulled out a small white bottle from her drawer. "Just a few drops, and old mama will never see again." 2 days later, Ngozi arrived in Omafia with gifts: rice, yams, even a bottle of special eye drops for Mama Ozo. She smiled brightly and hugged Nneka. "Oh Nneka, I've heard so much about you," she said sweetly. "I just want to help." Nneka, though surprised, accepted the medicine with thanks. After all, Ngozi seemed kind, too kind. Mama Ozo used the new drops that night. By morning, she was crying in pain. My eyes burn like pepper," she wailed. Nneka rushed to her, holding her close. Chuka ran to the doctor. But something was wrong. Mama's eyes were worse than ever. Later that day, as everyone sat outside, Ngozi turned to Chief Ago and whispered loudly, "I think Nneka gave her the wrong medicine." Chief Ago looked shocked. But Ngozi, weren't you the one? She asked me for the bottle, Ngozi lied quickly. She said she didn't trust the doctor. Maybe she wanted to handle it herself. Chuka turned sharply. Nneka would never do that. But the seed had been planted. Even Mama Ozo began to wonder. That night, Nneka sat alone outside the house. She looked at the stars, tears falling down her cheeks. Why would Ngozi say such things, she whispered. Why does everyone look at me like I've done something evil? The next day, Chuka avoided Nneka. He didn't accuse her. He didn't defend her either. He just said nothing. And that silence cut deeper than words. Nneka packed her few clothes. She left a short note. I gave you my truth. I cannot fight for it anymore. Nneka. She took Mama Ozo, and quietly returned to their old family house deeper in the village. Chuka found the note later and sat down on the bare floor, shaking his head. I failed her, again. Charles stood behind the main house in Enugu, listening to Ngozi laughing on the phone. She's gone, she whispered to someone. She'll never come back. The old woman is blind again. And the boy? He's broken. When love is quiet and pain speaks loud, how do you know who to trust? Should you stay to defend your name or walk away with your peace? The Mafia village was quiet again. Nneka had moved into a smaller, older house near the back of the village. It had leaks in the roof and cracks in the walls, but it was safe. Chuka hadn't come to visit. She didn't expect him to. Mama Ozo lay on a mat, her eyes covered with a soft cloth. Every now and then, she would whisper, the light is fading, child. But I can still hear the wind. One evening, the power returned briefly. Nneka turned on an old battery-powered radio, hoping to hear music. But instead, a soft crackle came through the speaker. Then, a voice. It was Mama Ozo's voice, but from before she went completely blind. If you are hearing this, I am no longer with you. But I want you to know, the one who wears the bracelet carries the truth of love. Do not throw it away. And be careful, the ones who smile with honey may strike with fire. Nneka dropped the radio. She sat frozen. Mama Ozo had recorded a message long ago. And now, it played as if her spirit had returned to speak. Nneka touched the silver bracelet on her wrist. Mama, you knew something, didn't you? That same night, in Enugu, Charles held the real DNA result in his hands. He went to Chuka's room. The young man was sitting in the dark, holding Nneka's note. Charles placed the envelope on the table. What is this? Chuka asked. Charles didn't speak. He just nodded and left the room. Chuka opened the envelope slowly. His eyes scanned the paper. He blinked. Then read it again. It was the full family tree, made by one of Chief Ago's old assistants. And on it, under Nneka's mother's name, there was a note. No confirmation of birth. Pregnancy denied by Chief Ago. Maid disappeared before delivery. Paternity never proven. Charles shook his head. So many lies, he whispered. So many people hurt. Elsewhere, in her fancy apartment, Ngozi sat smiling as she read a message from Chief Ago. Chuka may return home soon. The village love story is over. But she didn't notice someone behind her. Her maid had overheard everything in the last few days. And she had a phone. And she had sent recordings to someone. To Nneka. The next morning, Nneka received a message. She pressed play. It was Ngozi's voice. She'll never come back. I made sure of it. One drop of that medicine and the old bat went blind again. Now let's see if village girl can fight that. Nneka dropped the phone. Her mouth hung open. She wasn't imagining it. Ngozi had poisoned Mama Ozo. Ngozi had lied. And someone had believed her. When the truth comes, it doesn't knock. It crashes through walls. Would you forgive someone who doubted your heart or walk away forever? It was the season of the Umafia village festival, a time of drums, laughter, dancing, and roasted corn. But this year, the colors felt dim for Nneka. She sat in front of her small house, braiding a little girl's hair. She smiled, but her heart was far away. Since the day she listened to Ngozi's voice recording, her trust in the world had cracked. The next morning, a knock came at her door. It was a delivery boy. He gave her a small box wrapped in brown paper. No name. No note. Nneka opened it slowly. Inside was a bracelet, but not her usual silver one. It was gold. Soft and shiny, with a delicate pattern of roses carved into it. She gasped. This was no ordinary gift. She had seen it before, on the wrist of Chuka's late mother in an old photo on Chief Agu's wall. Underneath the bracelet was a small folded note. You gave me the truth. Let me now give you the whole of mine. Chuka. Her hands shook. Her tears dropped on the note. That afternoon, just as the festival drums began to beat, Chuka walked into the village square. He wore a plain shirt and sandals. No guards. No pride. Just a man with a heart that had been broken and rebuilt. He walked toward the mango tree where Nneka now taught little children every week. He saw her in the distance, her face glowing as she explained letters to small kids on slates. He didn't speak at first. He just watched. When the children left, Nneka stood up. Their eyes met. He stepped forward. Then, with one knee on the sand, he opened a small wooden box and brought out something. His mother's golden bracelet. He placed it in Nneka's hands. You showed me that love is not what you buy. It's what you build with kindness, truth, and trust. You taught me to live with less and love with more. I am not here to beg. I'm here to ask. Will you marry me not for what I have, but for who I am because of you? Nneka looked at him, silent for a moment. Then, with tears in her eyes, she whispered. I never stopped loving you. I only stopped fighting for someone who wasn't ready. She took the bracelet and smiled. Later that evening, the village lit up with joy. Drums beat. Children danced in circles. Palm wine flowed. And two hearts finally found their way home. Mama Uzo, though blind, laughed softly in the corner as Nneka helped her feel the golden bracelet. Your mother would be proud, she said. The bracelet did not lie. It led you to your truth. Ngozi's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and saw the news. Chuka engaged to village teacher. Wedding to take place in Umafia. She threw the phone and screamed. But it was too late. Truth had won. And love had returned to where it began, under a tree, by the river, in a heart full of kindness. If love ever knocks on your door again, would you open it with fear or with hope? Sometimes the strongest hearts grow from the deepest hurts. The village of Umafia had never seen a wedding so full of joy. People came from nearby towns to see the bride who taught children and the groom who once ran away from riches to find peace. But while smiles filled the village, storms gathered far away. In Enugu city, Chief Agu's mansion sat heavy with silence. His business was crumbling. Investors were pulling out. The news was everywhere. Young heir Chuka steps away from family company to build rural school with bride-to-be. People whispered in boardrooms. Maybe Chief Agu has lost control. 1 week before the wedding, Chief Agu received a message. A letter. It was from the Umafia village council. He was invited, no, summoned to appear before the elders. Not as a guest. As a man whose past may have brought harm. Chief Agu ignored it at first. But then the letter came again, signed by the king's hand. He had no choice. He came. The village square was quiet that morning. The village elders sat in a line, dressed in white, red, and brown wrappers. Their walking sticks were planted like trees before them. Chuka, Nneka, Mama Uzo, Charles, and other villagers stood nearby. Chief Ago sat in the middle, looking proud, but nervous. Elder Okoro spoke first. Chief Ago, do you remember a maid named Ifunanya, who served in your house 26 years ago? Chief Ago nodded slowly. Did you not cast her out when she said she was pregnant with your child? Chief Ago frowned. She disappeared. I never saw proof. Mama Uzo raised her hand. That maid was my niece. She came here to give birth. She died during labor. But she gave us a daughter. Nneka. Gasps filled the crowd. Chief Ago looked at Nneka, whose eyes were full of silent strength. Elder Nwaka added. You gave her a bracelet once. Do you deny that? Chief Ago didn't answer. Charles stepped forward. He held out the real DNA report, stamped and signed. Chief, Charles said, I served you for many years. But I served truth even longer. Nneka is not your daughter. Silence. Chief Ago trembled. His mouth moved, but no words came out. He sat down, broken. Just when people thought it was over, another voice shouted. Where is Ngozi? A young woman came forward. It was Ngozi's maid, the one who had sent the secret voice recordings to Nneka. She held up her phone. The recording played again. One drop of that medicine and the old bat went blind again. The people were angry. Chief Ago tried to defend Ngozi, but the elders had heard enough. That same day, Ngozi was arrested in the city for attempted harm and deceit. The empire of lies had finally begun to fall. Later that week, Chuka stood beside Nneka on a plot of land at the edge of Umafia. This is where we will build it, he said. What? She asked. The Mama Uzo Learning Center for the Blind. A place of hope. A place of truth. And we'll teach the children too. Every child deserves light. Nneka smiled and held his hand. Behind them, Mama Uzo sat under a tree, humming a song of peace. What do we owe to the truth? Sometimes silence protects. But sometimes, truth is the only medicine that heals. Will you be the voice that speaks even when it shakes the world? The sky was painted with golden clouds. A gentle wind passed through the leaves. And beneath the tall, proud mango tree in Umafia, the village prepared for a wedding that would be remembered for generations. The old drums were brought out. Palm fronds were tied around chairs. Children danced in bare feet. And the bride sat inside, her hands resting gently on her lap. Her heart was beating fast, but her smile was soft and steady. Nneka the bride. Nneka wore a white lace dress, simple and lovely, with a string of coral beads around her neck. The silver bracelet, passed from her mother, still rested on her wrist. Mama Uzo sat beside her, seeing shadows of light again after her second surgery. My daughter, she whispered, touching Nneka's cheek, you have turned pain into purpose. Nneka held her grandmother's hand. And you gave me the heart to walk through fire. Chuka the groom. Chuka wore a white kaftan with a soft blue cap. He had no bodyguards. No noise. Just his full heart. He walked through the village path slowly, passing children who cheered and threw flowers. Charles walked beside him, smiling quietly. You kept the truth when I couldn't handle it, Chuka said to Charles. Charles nodded. And now you've grown strong enough to carry it. The vows. Under the mango tree, with the elders watching and the birds singing above, Chuka took Nneka's hands. He looked into her eyes and said, you showed me that riches mean nothing without peace. That love is not bought, but built. You are my home. And from this day, I will carry your truth as mine. Nneka's eyes glistened with tears. And you, she said, left your palace to find your heart. You chose kindness over pride. You saw me not as a village girl, but as your equal. I choose you not for your name, but for your soul. They placed rings on each other's fingers. Mama Ozo gave a joyful cry. The people clapped and sang. And the mango tree swayed, as if giving its blessing. The last secret. Just as the food was being shared, and the music began again, Charles quietly approached Mama Ozo and handed her a sealed envelope. Mama, this is the truth I've carried for too long. I didn't know when the right time was, but I believe it's now. Her hands trembled. She opened the envelope and unfolded the paper slowly. Her eyes widened. She let out a soft cry. So, she was never. Charles nodded. She was never Chief Ago's child. Mama Ozo called for Nneka and Chuka. They came quickly. Charles took a deep breath and turned toward the crowd. Everyone, listen. Years ago, Chief Ago assumed Nneka's mother Ifunanya was carrying his child. But Ifunanya had already been pregnant before she came to work in his house. Her fiancé, a young teacher from Abakpa, died in an accident. She had no one left, so she took the maid job to survive. When she gave birth, the bracelet Chief Ago had once gifted her in kindness became Nneka's. But there was no blood relation between Nneka and the chief. Gasps filled the air. Mama Ozo smiled with peace in her chest. You see, she whispered. The bracelet led her to her destiny not by blood, but by purpose. Chuka held Nneka tighter, his eyes full of tears. We are not siblings. No, Mama Ozo said. You are soulmates. The drums returned louder. Children laughed again. Even Chief Ago, sitting at the back, stood and approached Nneka and Chuka. He bowed his head. Forgive me. For the pain I caused your mother. And the shame I allowed to grow. Nneka lifted his chin gently. Let truth lead you now, not power. They embraced. 1 year later, the Mama Ozo Learning Center opened its doors. Blind children were learning to read and sing. Young girls were learning to speak with boldness. Carved above the entrance were the words. Let truth be light. Let love be legacy. Nneka and Chuka. No matter how small your beginning, your truth can light up the world. Be kind. Be brave. And when love comes quietly to your door, open it with a heart ready to grow. If this story touched your heart, please like the video. Share with someone who believes in second chances. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African stories filled with wisdom, love, and life lessons.